Hey, welcome back to Dad Life Chess. Today, I want to go over a classical game that I played online just a few days ago, and I found this game to be instructive. Mainly, there was a cute couple points in this game that I thought was kind of helpful, and hopefully, it'll be instructional. Um, I am doing a I'm kind of in a chess accountability group that I'm really enjoying actually. It's forcing me to keep track of the time that I put into serious chess study. And one of the things that it doesn't allow you to record as far as time wise is certainly not blitz and even rapid games. So I'm trying to play, if I can, one classical game, game 30 on in this one. This one was played on Lee Chess, and my I really like these games. It causes me to, spend more time thinking. It's probably much better for my chess overall. And I'm doing my best to actually go through each and every one of these classical games very thoroughly. So you'll probably see more of these on the channel. One thing I do like about this accountability group is it doesn't include rapid chess or blitz. I'm also staying strong with my no blitz November. I was even out of town for work for a couple days last week, and I didn't even open up my phone to play mindless blitz, which I normally do if I'm on vacation or if I'm out of town for work. If I want to do something chess related, I have no real motivation to do something serious. Although this time I brought out my iPad and I was plugging through with the book I was reading. I actually was able to finish it, which was kind of great. It was How to Beat Your Dad at Chess. Great primer, really, for checkmate primer. But anyway, that is all that. Let's jump into the game. I played d4, my opponent played d5, and I decided with bishop f4. I was actually talking with my coach recently, and I was asking him the questions like, should I play the knight f3 variation, like International Master Alex Bonza recommends, or just go straight into the so-called accelerated London? And my coach thinks that obviously you can go back and forth, and I probably will, whether over the board or online. I'll probably play them interchangeably. But my coach actually recommends the early bishop f4, and there's a reason why. And I was talking to him about a line that I actually see a lot is this right here. I do not like this line. Now, I know with best play, it's about equal. If black knows exactly what they're doing, it's about equal. Black takes his pawn. We go here. Black goes here. And, white goes here. But I'm finding that you have to, it's like a razor edge. And if black doesn't, it kind of deviates a little bit um, than what I'm used to. I don't know how to capitalize on it. And you basically have to memorize these lines like verbatim. And if you're like me, one of the reasons I like playing the Lena system is I don't really want to have to go through like rote memorization. So I'll probably play this line off and on. And that's one thing I like about the Lena system, even though all the London haters say that the London system is played the exact same way every single time. It's not. There's a lot of nuance in the London system. There's a lot of ways to play it differently and to get unique positions. But I don't really like this position right now. Now, I'm currently trying to memorize these lines so that I'll feel more comfortable playing into it. And that's why my coach said, go for the accelerated London. And when they play, my opponent to follow this game played into this line. He said, just go to the standard London pyramid. Now, there are a couple lines that give white a little trouble with this specific variation. However, even then, it's kind of equal. And I feel like the positions are a little easier to play for white, but I won't bore you with all the details. And I don't want to give my opponents the best lines. So there's also that. But there are a few lines in here that give 000 according to the computer. But even in these lines, the best case scenario is 000, but it's double edged. And I feel like it's easier for white to slip up. In these lines, I don't know. So I'll probably go back and forth. I'll probably always be changing up a little bit with my repertoire. And one day I might even play something that's not the London system. Nah, that's never going to happen. Well, you never know. So my opponent played knight c6. A kind of a common trap or a variation that you see a lot, even online, is if they played here, they'll oftentimes go like queen b6, and then you'll play queen b3. They'll go here, and you go back here, and they think, oh wait, I can go here, but this is a absolute blender. Can you spot it? Yes, just take the pawn, because if they say, I'm going to get your rook, what is the best move for white? See if you can spot it. That's right. Checkmate ends the game. I actually had I had a friend that got this exact position in an over the board game against a much higher rated player, and he knew the trap, took the pawn, and his opponent obviously didn't blunder checkmate, but his opponent was actually pretty resilient, and I think was able to draw this position even though being a piece down. But very strong opponent. But yeah, don't fall for that. Play bishop f5 unless you're my opponent. Play bishop f5 every single time, especially followed up by this, because that would be nice. But then I wouldn't really learn anything about chess, and I wouldn't be stretched. So don't do that. But kind of do that if it's no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so my opponent played knight c6. It's important that you play knight d2 in this variation, mainly because you get a very bad version if they play knight f3. Then they play this queen b6. That's not a good situation. So my opponent played bishop f5, which is a very logical and good position for the bishop to be. Whenever the bishop comes out, either here or here, you always want to play queen b3. Then my opponent played queen b6. This is a very common response. Matter of fact, I look at the Lichess database. This is probably the most common response for black in this position. And actually, it gives white a very thematic d takes c5. Now, my opponent took here, which is really forced, because if they take here, which is an absolute blunder, this is a nightmare. If you think about it, just having to go back here, then you're able to play here, attacking the queen. It's going to be a nightmare. The computer gives white a very sizable advantage, and white is basically winning in this position. So black is basically forced to take, but if you notice, we're still up this pawn. Okay, now it's tempting to take here, and I actually used to play this way. When I was seeing blitz games, but thankfully in this game I remembered the theory after going over it, because in this position you think, hey, I'm going to be holding on to this pawn. They play e5, you drop back, and then they have this move, okay? Because they say, hey, I'm just going to kick your knight out, and then I'm going to be able to capture this pawn, and your knight's going to be outside. No, don't kick my knight out of the way. But what does black do? Black says, nope, boom. This is a beautiful move. Bishops to c2, forcing my knight to be offsides here. I'm going to have to move back here, and then he's going to be able to recapture the pawn. So in that position, once black captures on b3, you have to take back with the pawn. And there's a reason, because now they play e5, you drop back, they capture this. However, black's center is actually very weak. Now, in this game, I didn't play the correct, most perfect way of getting the advantage. The correct way, and if I get this again in an over the board or online game, you have to play knight f3 first, knight gf3 first, double attacking on e5. They will probably play the best move. Let's say if they go back here, bishop d6, you can then put more pressure on this e5 pawn. And you're probably going to be able to win the pawn. White's doing very well. White has all of the fun in these kind of positions. So my opponent went here, and instead I played an early bishop b5. Again, I'm still pressuring here. Now, my opponent actually has this wild-looking knight to d7, which is a really clever move, and I would not have seen it. My opponent didn't see it, but the computer certainly did. Stockfish is smart like that. But you can play b5, b4 here, and here. The computer says, hey, it's just about equal. It's still going to be a game. There's going to be a fight involved. But when I played bishop to b5, my opponent actually played bishop to d6. Now I continue pressuring here onto the pawn. Now my opponent drops back, okay? And now I play a very tricky move, and this is actually still theory, is knight to d4 exclam. Now, if they take, what do? Now you take here. If they take here, then you take back. This is going to be just a very strong position for white. White's pieces are dominating the board. You're going to be able to castle. Black's going to have a really hard time getting his king safe. This is the kind of position I like to play, especially if I'm white. I have strong initiative, strong pieces, control, much better control of the center. This is just a good position. So I played knight d4. My opponent thought for a little bit of time and actually captured back with the knight. And I kind of expected this because in this position, you'll take back here, which was what I did. And now I'm still putting more pressure onto e5. So he captures my knight, I capture his knight, but now I'm getting more pressure on this e5 pawn. My opponent plays f6. Now, here I probably should have just played knight f3, but it doesn't really matter too much. I instead capture. I'm thinking I'm just going to get my my rooks onto the open e file, and I'm just going to basically my whole strategy is focused, like laser focused on e5. And I like games like this. Like I like a game that has like a clear, concrete idea of a weakness or a point that you're like, hey, there's an easy plan to follow. And so my opponent played a6. Now this move is it's actually it's more of an inaccuracy, and I responded incorrectly. I kind of saw the a6 was coming, and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to remove the defender of e5 and call it a day. I totally just blanked out. There is no reason to move this bishop. This pawn is pinned to this rook. He's not going to take it. So I took here, which is a mistake. But going back, there was actually a very clear, concrete way for me to win e5. Matter of fact, if you want to pause the video, see if you can find it. There's a couple ways that one just makes it super simple. One is like longer. Yes, the correct way is just captures, boom, and then here. And if you notice, this pawn cannot be pushed. Why? Boom. It's pinned to the bishop. And here, you're going to be able to capture here. There's really no way to save this. The computer just says to just castle. And then you're going to take, and then takes here. And this is just, look at this position. I mean, I'm going to get my rooks here. You just feel like this position plays itself. It really does. This position speaks for itself, as they might say. So, unfortunately, I captured, which is incorrect. My opponent takes with the king, getting off of this file here because he kind of saw that coming. And I've basically given my opponent, I've given away the advantage, the opening advantage that I had. I takes, I go here, my opponent goes here. I'm sorry, my opponent brought his other rook here. And we go here. Now, right here, it's dead even. There's a unique move in this position that allows complete equality for white. I mean, for black. Now, I'll pause. You can pause the video. I will not pause the video. I cannot do that. I cannot pause your own video. How cool would that be? Like if a YouTuber was like, I'm going to pause your video for right now, and I'm going to let you know when it's time to unpause. That doesn't work like that. There is a way, if you want to pause the video, for black to get equality. It's a very unique maneuver, and it revolves around this bishop. Bishop e4. What a weird move. You look at this move, you're like, whoa, what's going on? Well, what it does is it blocks the coordination against this pawn, okay? And white is basically, I mean, if let's say, obviously he's threatening here too. So let's just say I play something dumb like this. He's just going to take here, wreck my pawn structure, and he's going to have this strong center. He's going to move his rooks. He's going to be able to advance past. It's much better for black. So my opponent didn't see that. Matter of fact, when I played knight f3 in this position, I almost was guaranteeing that my opponent was going to play e4, and that's exactly what they did. It's hard to see a move like this. I mean, that's hard. I didn't see it, obviously, until my good friend Stockfish told me about it, and I was like, that's a good move. So plays here. But once my opponent played here, I felt very good about my position because now I bring my knight onto this dominating square on d4. And um, if my opponent takes here, I take back. Okay. But when I played here, they played, let's see here. They took here. They took here. Oh. There was a point in this game. Let's see, e4. Oh, of course. Let me explain this. Um, Here, I was looking at this and I thought to myself, okay, I would love to trade off these dark square bishops and have my knight just planted forever on this outpost. And these pawns are on light squares. I'm going to dominate this bishop. This bit is basically going to be knight versus bishop. And for a little bit of time, I was thinking, well, what if I take here? This is a very bad move because of this. And now I am forced to go back here, and they can go even here and here. And now it's bishops of opposite color. I was like, nope, not happening. So I did play knight to d4, which is the wise choice. And since I have a tempo on this bishop, they take, I take back, and my opponent plays a absolute blunder. Now, I when I saw this move, I thought, well, that can't work because it felt like I was like, should I take here? I don't want to take here because this knight's going to be super powerful. And I ended up playing here, which is a mistake, basically. I missed the tactic. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can find the epic move that completely wins the game on the spot that I missed. That's correct. That's correct. F4 exclam. Beautiful move. First of all, this pawn is pinned to the rook. So if you do the en passant move, boom, game over. Not only that, this rook's got to go somewhere. And he had one job and one job only, and that was the protection of this bishop. So let's just say this rook goes back home, and boom, also game over. So my opponent blunders. I absolutely make a mistake in return, completely missing f4, which wins the game on the spot. But anyway, my opponent didn't give me a second chance. They dropped back to g6, and even though I missed the move, I really felt like I was winning at this position. I really did. I thought, okay, I have this very dominant knight on a dark square outpost. I'm going to be able to pressure these pawns. It felt like they're backward. I don't know. I was thinking I can maybe double up here. I can bring my rooks here. I was debating on some different options. So I played here, and I was immediately kind of regretting it. It's like, this is not the entry. I want to be here, uh, you know, attacking this pawn from with on the D file. But so I thought, okay, well, the kind of the nature of this position though is it's kind of locked. There's not like a direct initiative or a fast play. So my opponent plays here, kind of dropping back. I think they were afraid of maybe these f4 pushes. I played b4. I was thinking I can reroute my knight. I can reroute my knight here. Maybe get in here. He played rook h f8. I played knight b3. Trying to kind of maneuver, trying to find a way to break through. My opponent played king c6, and I didn't want him to be able to get here and here. It's not like it's dangerous per se, but I just didn't want to give him any kind of room. So I played knight d4. He goes back here. I play rook to d1. He plays rook a8. So I guess he's trying to maybe push this pawn. And I think to myself, no, we're going to have to stop that. And my opponent plays rook fc8. I don't think he has a lot of moves in this position. And here I played knight c5, and I'm attacking here and attacking here. Now, ironically, my opponent has a move that kind of keeps him in the game, is something like this. But I still have I feel like I'm going to be able to squeeze. Unfortunately for my opponent, he sees the attack on this pawn and plays here. And what's my move? Pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Check. This guy is pinned. takes, and he tries to break through, but I'm like, let's just be simple. He takes here, I go here, he goes here, and I just go here. I'm going to take here. I'm going to be able to take here. And right here, my opponent resigned. Perhaps maybe prematurely resigned, but I think he was pretty much done with this. I felt he probably felt like I had an easier win for sure, for sure. So yeah, so interesting game. I was able to play the opening a little bit different than I normally play. Uh, I got into a position after this very thematic D takes C5, forcing this kind of position. And I should have gone here first, but really just being able to play against this pawn, keeping black from castling, it was kind of a thematic win in the London system. Now, if I would have seen the f4 move, obviously that would have been beautiful, and my opponent probably would have resigned right here, and it would have been a shorter video. But it's not. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe learned a little bit of nuance in the London system. Hope to bring more of these videos, game reviews of these online classical games. I'm actually really enjoying playing them, then spending the time reviewing them. I try to review them without a computer and then throw the computer on and then basically articulate what I was thinking on my channel. I feel like it's helpful for me, and hopefully it's educational as well, and even slightly entertaining, hopefully. Hey, if you have not already subscribed, please do so. I'm a long ways away, but I have a goal to hit that 1,000 subscribers. It would be kind of cool. It's a little ways off, obviously, but every subscription helps. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe. And hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It always helps. I appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.